What is up, book nerds? My name is Hillary, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I am doing a book haul that I got in the mail this week, and I ordered these from different places, and I am excited to go through with them. So let's get right on into it. Book of the Month is a subscription box that you can get every month, and you can choose from new releases or soon to be released books, and a lot of them are adult genre books, and you get them at a really good price. And so I get this box every month, and the book that I chose was The Golden Couple by Greer, Hendricks, and Sarah Pekkanen. And this is I think a thriller, and I've heard some good things about it. It says here, wealthy Washington suburbanites Marissa and Matthew Bishop seem to have it all until Marissa is unfaithful. Beneath their veneer and perfection is a relationship riven by work and a lack of intimacy. Marissa wants to repair things for the sake of their 8-year-old son and because she loves her husband. Enter Avery Chambers. Avery is a therapist who lost her professional license. Still, it doesn't stop her from counseling those in crisis. Though they have to adhere to her unorthodox methods, and the bishops are desperate. When they glide through Avery's door and Marissa reveals her infidelity, all three are set on a collision course because the biggest secrets in the room are still hidden, and it's no longer simply a marriage that's in danger. I am very excited to read this book. I don't think I've ever read a book by these two authors, and it just sounds really good. The next book that I got from Book of the Month, well, the next two books were add-ons, and I chose this one because it's a movie on Netflix that I want to watch, so I want to read the book and then compare the movie and the book and make a video about it. So if that sounds like a good idea, let me know down below. But the book that I got was All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven, and this is a YA, I believe it's contemporary, and make sure you check the trigger warnings before you read this book because I know it deals with some serious topics, and I've heard it makes you cry, and I really want to do it. I love when I cry in books because then it just makes it feel more real, but I will read you a little bit of the synopsis, and it says, Theodore Finch is fascinated by death. Every day he thinks of ways he might die, but every day he also searches for and manages to find something to keep him here, and alive, and awake. Violet Markey lives for the future, counting the days until graduation, when she can escape her small Indiana town and her aching grief in the wake of her sister's death. I'm not going to read the rest of it, but I am excited to go into this blind, and I can't wait to watch the movie and compare them and see what I think about them. The next book is an older book, but I found it on Book of the Month and decided to get it. I've never read a book by this author, but I've heard great things about her, and she is an older author, but she writes a lot of mysteries. And the book that I chose was Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie, and this is about beloved detective Hercule Poirot embarks on a journey in Egypt in one of Agatha Christie's most famous mysteries, now a major motion picture directed by and starring Kenneth Branagh. I guess this is most likely a mystery, and I like going into those books not knowing a bunch about it, and since it says it's a movie, I'm excited to watch that and hopefully compare the book to it and maybe do a video on that also. The next book I pre-ordered from Barnes & Noble, and I have the first 3 in this series, and I'm excited to read this, but I think what I'm going to do is reread the whole series up to the 4th book, because there I think is 2 or 3 more books coming out for this series, and maybe do a reading vlog of reading the 4th book, all 4 books, and doing that. But the book that I got is Court And these books have supernatural in them. They say if you like Twilight, you'll like these books, and I've read the first 2 books and absolutely enjoyed them. I love the characters in them, and it's set at an academy in Alaska, and this girl named, I believe it's Grace, and her parents passed away, so she ends up having to go move to Alaska to live with her uncle and her cousin, and her uncle is the dean of this school. But little does she know, the school is a magical school that has vampires and dragons and witches, and she believes that she's only a human, so her being at the school is not safe. But then enter the love interest, and it gets to be so good. I actually like these books a lot better than Twilight, and they're easy reads to get through. The next 20 books that I have sitting here, I know that's a lot, are books that I ordered from Book Outlet, and Book Outlet is a website where you can get discounted books for really good prices. And when I ordered these, I got them for really, really cheap because they have books from just over $1 up to $10 on there. So I'm pretty sure most of these books are under $10, and let's get right on into this giant stack of books that I am going to show you. The book that I'm going to show you from Book Outlet is Suicide Notes from Beautiful Girls by Lynn Weingarten, and this is about, I'm just going to read the little chunk that's up here because I don't want to read too much of the synopsis, but it says, they say Delia burned herself to death and her stepfather shed. They say it was suicide, but June doesn't believe it. This sounds really good. Like I say, with any of these books that I have, make sure you check the trigger warnings because some of them probably can have serious topics in them, especially for younger kids. So yeah, I'm excited to read this one. I love reading hard-hitting young adult books and just getting the feel of it, and I think it's going to be good, and yeah, so excited. The next book that I got is the second book in a series, and I liked the first one. It's a middle grade, and I don't read a lot of middle grades, but these middle grade books I liked, and that is Tunnel of Bones by Victoria Schwab, or for her adult books it's V.E. Schwab. But I liked the first one, and these are about a girl named Cass, and she can see ghosts, and in the first one she has a ghost friend who her parents don't believe she is really there, and they don't really believe that she can speak to ghosts, but her parents are on a TV show for ghost hunting. So it's really funny. But these are really good middle grade books, and they're action packed and are filled with just fun parts and some funny things in them. And this one says, Cass is in Paris where her parents are filming their TV show about the world's most haunted cities. The TV show is fun, but little do they know about the true ghostly danger lurking beneath Paris in the creepy underground catacombs. When Cass accidentally awakens a frighteningly strong spirit, she must rely on her still growing skills as a ghost hunter and turn to friends, both old and new, to help her unravel a mystery. But time is running out, and the spirit is only growing stronger. And if Cass fails, the force she's unleashed could haunt the city forever. This series has 3 books in it, and this is the second one, like I said, and I'm very excited to get to this one, and I may read it within the next month or so. If not, I will probably read it around Halloween time. The next book that I got is My Calamity Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brodi Ashton, and Jodi Meadows. They have, I don't know if these books are series, but they have another book called My Lady Jane, which I have and I haven't read yet, but I want to get to these. But this says, the side-splitting, whopper-filled, not-so-tall tale of the one and only Calamity Jane. Welcome to the Wild West, where Calamity Jane, Frank the Pistol Prince, Butler, and Annie Oakley herself are out to cure the American frontier of a situation so hairy that it's downright wolfy. This is a historical fiction book, and I'm hoping to get to this one soon also, and the other one that I have, and they just sound like a fun time. I've heard that they're funny too, so I'm really looking forward to that. This next book I have been wanting to get, and I first saw it on Emma Books YouTube channel on here, and it is called Hello Girls by Brittany Cavallaro and Emily Henry. And I heard this kind of Thelma and Louise story, but it says, for Winona Olsen and Lucille Price, that fire happens the night they meet outside the police station, both deciding whether to turn their families in. Winona's seemingly perfect father, a celebrity weatherman, locks the pantry door to control her eating and leaves bruises where no one can see them. Lucille has been suffocating beneath the needs of her mother and her drug-dealing brother, wondering if there's more out there for her than a lifetime of barely getting by. One harrowing night, Winona and Lucille realize they need out. Now, all they need is $3,000 fast. And really, a stolen convertible to take them from Michigan to Las Vegas can't hurt. And this sounds like a really funny book, but again, make sure you check the trigger warnings on it, because it sounds like there are quite a few in this book, and I am thinking I'm going to save this more for like summertime, because it just sounds like a good read for then. This next book that I got is a classic, and I've never read it before, and I've heard it's really, really good, and it's a movie on Netflix also, and that is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. And for those who don't know what it's about, it says, with these words, the reader is ushered into an isolated gray stone mansion on the windswept Cornish coast as the second Mrs. Maxim de Winter recalls the chilling events that transpired as she began her new life as the young bride of a husband she barely knew. For in every corner of every room were phantoms of a time dead but not forgotten, a past devotedly preserved by the sinister housekeeper, Mrs. Danvers, a sweet, immaculate, and untouched clothing laid out and ready to be worn, but not by any of the great house's current occupants. With an eerie presentiment of evil tightening her heart, the second Mrs. De Winter walked in the shadow of her mysterious predecessor, determined to uncover the darkest secrets and shattering truths about Maxim's first wife, the late and hauntingly beautiful Rebecca. This sounds really good, and it makes me just want to start reading it now, and I cannot wait to get to it. And like I said, I've heard nothing but great things about this book, and I'm hoping I enjoy it as much as everybody else has. Alright, so this next book I've heard also good things about. It's a fantasy, I believe, and maybe a thriller on top of that. But this book is The Devouring Gray by Christie and Lynn Herman, and it says, branches and stones, daggers and bones, they locked the beast away. And then after the death of her sister, 17-year-old Violet Saunders finds herself dragged to Four Paths, New York. Violet may be a newcomer, but she soon learns her mother isn't. They belong to one of the revered founding families of the town, where stone bells hang above every doorway and danger lurks in the depths of the woods. I believe this has probably vampires in it too, so I am excited to get this. I think it's going to be a great read, and I hope I enjoy it. But this cover is so gorgeous. I absolutely love this cover. But yeah, The Devouring Gray, I'm excited. This next book that I'm going to show you is a romance, an adult romance, and I think I've heard some mixed reviews about it, and every once in a while I like to break up from fantasy or thriller to read a romance book just to keep me out of a reading slump. And the book that I picked up for just a couple dollars is The Happy Ever After playlist by Abby Jimenez. I hope I'm saying that right. But it says, 2 years after losing her fiance, Sloane Monroe still can't seem to get her life back on track. But one troubling pup with a take-me-home look in his eyes is about to change everything. With her new pet by her side, Sloane finally starts to feel more like herself. Then after weeks of unanswered texts, Tucker's owner reaches out. He's a musician on tour in Australia, and bottom line, he wants Tucker back. Well, Sloane's not about to give up her dog without a fight. But what if this Jason guy really loves Tucker? As their flirty texts turn into long calls, Sloane can't deny a connection. Jason is hot and nice and funny. There's no telling what could happen when they meet in person. The question is, with his music career on the rise, how long will Jason really stick around? And is it possible for Sloane to survive another heartbreak? This sounds really good, and maybe it might be a little corny, but like I said, it's fun, and it has an animal in it, and I love dogs. So, these next two books are part of a series. I don't think I have the third one. Yeah. I only got the first two books in it, and they are Incendiary and Illusionary by Zoraida, Cordova. And I'll just read what Incendiary is about. And it says, Renata was only a child when she was kidnapped and brought to the luxurious palace of Angelica as a memory thief, the rarest and most feared of the magical Maurier. She was used by the king to carry out the deaths of thousands of her own people. Now Renata is one of the Whispers, rebel spies fighting back. The Whispers may have rescued Renata years ago, but she cannot escape their mistrust and hatred, or the overpowering memories of the soul she drained during her time in the palace. When Des, the commander of her unit, and the boy she's grown to love is taken captive, Renata must return to Andalusia and complete Des's top-secret mission herself. But as she wades through the politics of the royal court, Renata uncovers a secret in her past that could change the fate of the entire kingdom and end the world that has cost her everything. This just sounds so good. I'm hoping it's as good as I think it's going to be. And with it being a fantasy, it's my favorite genre to read. And then it has magical parts in it and a kick-ass heroine. So what can be better than that? These next two books that I have are part of a series. I have the first book, but I ended up ordering the next two because they were, like I said, cheap on Book Outlet. And that is Ruthless Gods and Blessed Monsters by Emily A. Duncan. And I don't know much about the first book because I haven't read it yet, but I believe it has magic and stuff in it, and it's a fantasy. So I love fantasies that are series or trilogies because you aren't just reading one book and done. It just continues on, and you have so much hope for it. And I'm excited to get to these books and maybe do a reading vlog reading on. Who knows? The next book in this stack is The Kingdom of Back by Marie Lu. What I know about this is that it is a fantasy, and I love Marie Lu as an author. But this is about Mozart, I believe. Yes, Mozart's sister, and just learning. I think it's more about music and just Mozart's sister, and obviously it's a fantasy, so I'm excited to read it. Like I said, I love Marie Lu. I read her whole Legend series, and I've read the Warcross duology, and her books are just so easy to get into, and I'm excited to read this and add another one of her books on my shelf because, like I said, she's a really good author. She's actually one of my favorite young adult authors. So, the next book that I got, I have read The Hate You Give, so this is another book with that book about the dad. But what really surprised me was I did not order this book this way. but it was only, I think, $5 for this book, and I was so shocked when I found out that it is a signed copy, and I don't have a lot of signed copy books, or any signed books I should say, but I was so excited to get this. But this book is Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. This is about Star from The Hate U Give's dad, his story of when he was a teenager and growing up in a not so great neighborhood and what his life was like and with becoming a teenage father. And I love Maverick as a character in The Hate U Give, and I just love that book too. And I am so excited to read this, and this just makes me so excited to put it on my shelf too. Another book that I got that ended up being a signed copy was The Midnight Star by Maurier. This is part of a Young Elites series, and I need to go back and reread The Young Elites because I listened to it on audiobook and I can't really remember much about it, so I want to physically read it. But I remember I enjoyed it, and this has like, it's a fantasy and these kids have powers and whatnot. But like I said, it's been a while since I've read it. But here is, I'll show you the signed page. Here it is. And I think I got this book on Book Outlet for maybe $3 or just a little bit more than that. But for it to be an autographed copy, that is really cheap. And I'm excited to read this. Now I have all 3 books in this trilogy, and I'm hoping I'm going to binge read it because they're really not that long of books either. The next book that I have is Rules for Being a Girl by Candace Bushnell and Katie Catugno. And this is about, it starts early, you learn the rules for being a girl. Marion has always been good at navigating these unspoken guidelines. A star student and editor of a school paper, she dreams of getting into Brown University. Marion's future seems bright, and her young, charismatic English teacher, Mr. Beck, is always quick to admire her writing and talk books with her. But when Beck takes things too far and comes onto Marion, she's shocked and horrified. Had she somehow led him on? Was it her fault? When Marion works up the courage to tell the administration what happened, no one believes her. She's forced to face Bex in class every day, except now he has an axe to grind. But Marion isn't about to back down. She uses the school newspaper to fight back, and she starts a feminist book club at school. She finds allies in the most unexpected people, like slutty Gray Kendall, who she'd always dismissed as just another lacrosse bro. As things heat up at school and in her personal life, Marion must figure out how to take back the power and write her own rules. This kind of reminds me a little bit of Moxie, just in like the newspaper aspect and what it sounds like is going to go on in this book. But make sure you check the trigger warnings on this book because it sounds like there was probably going to be some in here. And this one I am excited to read and can't wait to get to it. And this cover is just gorgeous, and I love the colors of it. And so, yeah. The next book that I have is Down Comes the Night by Allison Saft, and I don't know much about this book, so I'm just going to read the insert to you. And it says, he saw the darkness in her magic, she saw the magic in his darkness. When Sutherland's reckless use of magic has cost her everything, she's been dismissed from the Queen's Guard and separated from her best friend, the girl she loves. So when a letter arrives from a reclusive lord asking Wren to come to his estate, Colwick Hall to cure his servant of a mysterious illness, she seizes her chance to redeem herself. The mansion is crumbling, icy winds haunt the caved-in halls, and Wren's eccentric host forbids her from leaving her room after dark. Worse, her patient isn't a servant at all, but Hal Cavendish, the infamous reaper of Besria and her kingdom's sworn enemy. He also came to Colwick Hall for redemption, but the secrets in the estate may lead to both of their deaths. This sounds really good, maybe like a enemies to lovers book, and I am ready for that. And at the top it says, "Love makes monsters of us all." So that right there just intrigues me. But and this cover also is gorgeous with the blue. Alright, you guys, we are down to the last 4 books, finally. So let's get right to them and finish up this book haul. Alright, the next book that I have is The Case for Jamie by Brittany Cavallaro. This is a mystery young adult book, and I've heard great things about it. I do not want to read the inside of it because it is, I think it's the 2nd or 3rd book in the Charlotte Holmes series, and I don't want to get any clues about this book and ruin if it has the big parts from the other books in it. So yeah, I'm excited to read these books too. The things with me buying series is I usually only get 1 or 2, but I like having the whole series to read back to back and to just quickly read them. And that's why I've waited to read a lot of these books, is for that reason. The next book that I have is Girl from Nowhere by Tiffany Rosenhan. And this one is about a girl who leaves her life, I believe, and she's been running for 18 months and hiding, but she has to come to terms with her past and stuff. I think that's what it's about. This just sounded really good when I saw it on Book Outlet. I've never heard, I don't think, anybody on here talk about this book. So I'm excited to read it and figure out if I like it. But it says at the top, how long can she outrun her past? And that's just exciting for me to read, because everybody has a past, whether they like their past or not, or whether it was good or bad. But sometimes you just have to come to terms with what's happened in the past and move on. And I am excited to read this. Alright, this next book that I have is, I believe this is a 2nd or 3rd book in this series. I'm trying to see. It's either the 2nd or 3rd book in the series, but the book that I got is We Free the Stars by Hafsa Fazal. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And this is a fantasy, and I don't know much about it. I have not read the 1st book yet, and I've heard good things about this book and am excited to read it. And the last book that I have to show you guys is the 3rd book in this trilogy that I haven't read yet, but now I'm going to, because I finally have the last book, and it is A Vow So Bold and Deadly by Bridget Kemmer. And this is the 3rd book in A Curse So Dark and Lonely, which is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. But I've also heard that the 1st book is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and the other books just kind of tell a story from the other characters in the 1st book. And I love Beauty and the Beast. It's my favorite movie of all time, and I love reading books that are retellings of it. And I'm hoping I love this series, and like I said, it gets a lot of mixed reviews. But yeah, and this cover is gorgeous also. But yeah, I'm excited to get to this one. Alright, if you guys have stuck with me this far, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have read any of the books that you saw in this video, let me know down below and what you thought about them. And please don't spoil any of the books. Tell me which one you would like me to read next month, and hopefully that can get on to my list of books to read. And until next time, enjoy reading, and hit that like button down below if you enjoyed this video, and hit that subscribe button and that bell notification so you know the next time I have a video come up. Alright guys, bye!